Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to start off with this frame. I bought a big bag of them at the Goodwill bins. My plan here is to add some wings out of the IOD wings and feathers mold. So I'm going to start off by adding some baking powder to my mold here for an easy release. So I'm going to start off by giving it a quick roll between my hands just so it can be easier to work with. I'm going to start pushing it into my mold and then taking off the excess. So once I'm satisfied, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to release it from the mold. This allows me to bend the mold backwards without losing too much of the detail on my wing here. So while I let this clay set up a bit, I'm going to go ahead and paint the backs of my frames here. I'm going to paint them white because I do plan on decoupaging, and that's a good base to decoupage over. Once my paint dries, I'm going to go in with a thin layer of Mod Podge, and I'm going to use a vintage hymnal sheet. I have a ton of these, so I'm going to try and go through some. So I'm going to lay my sheet right over this. I do get a little bit of wrinkle, but I'm okay with that. Once it dries a bit, I can go in there and push down on some of the wrinkles to try and flatten it out a little bit better. On my next frame, I'm going to use these napkins again. Like I mentioned in my last video, I did pick them up at an estate sale. I love them so much for Christmas. I feel they are just so perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and lay my napkin down. These were 3-ply napkins. I did take off the extra layers and we're just working with the 1 layer of napkin. And I am going to use this plastic bag just to rub out some of the wrinkles. You can use saran wrap. It's just a barrier between the napkin and your hands. Then I'm going to go ahead and start giving my wings here a coat of paint. I did pick up this Folk Art Color Shift paint. It has like a black gold like tone depending on the light. It's such a pretty color. I did pick it up at Walmart. So my clay here still isn't dry. It's still very much bendable. So I paint these very gently, trying not to make any creases into my wings here and taking off any of the detail. So this color is very pretty on its own, but I do decide to go in with the Folk Art Gold, just adding a little bit more gold on top of that color. Then I'm going to add some glue to the back of my wings here, and I'm going to attach it to the backing of my frame. And I did have a couple of these little beads left, so I decided to add one to the center of my wings here just for a cute little detail. So for my frames here, I want a very chippy look. So I'm going to add some sea spray to some paint using the color Ivory and Waverly chalk paint. And as you can see here, it is very thick. All I'm going to do is use my popsicle stick, and I'm going to slide my popsicle stick straight over my wood here, and it's just going to pick up on all the details, and that is pretty much it. I let it dry. And if I need to give it a quick sanding, I do so to take off some of the excess or any thicker places. Next up, I had my husband cut up these little houses. I did the same technique on these with the textured paint with my popsicle stick. I wanted a very chippy look. So I picked up a ton of these little crosses at the thrift store. I'm pretty sure they are from Amazon. I'm going to start off by giving this one a coat of white. I do plan on decoupaging the same napkin I used in the previous DIY. I do plan on using the same napkin for these crosses. So I went ahead and added some Mod Podge, and I'm going to go in with the same napkin, laying it straight over the Mod Podge and just giving it light pats. Then I'm just going to go ahead and sand off all the excess just so I can have a clean, crisp edge. For these, I do decide that I want a more rusty look, so I'm adding some Mod Podge. Then I'm going to sprinkle over some cinnamon straight over that Mod Podge. So I do continue this process until I am satisfied with the amount of rust that I'm trying to create. So right here you do see me adding more Mod Podge, and I'm going to sprinkle more cinnamon, and I just keep doing this until I'm fully satisfied. Next, just using my Distress Oxide, going to age up the edges of my little houses here. So for some of my little ornaments here, I did run wire through them. For this one, I made some little holes using my drill. I only did a couple like this. I think I preferred the eye hook. So I make little holes and then I cut some wire and run it through. So I'm going to string it through, and using my same wire cutters, I'm just going to grab the end of my wire here and just give it a little twist so it doesn't come undone. So I'm going to just create a little bow here that I'm going to place right on top. And if you want to see a slower motion of how to make this bow, I did put one in my previous video towards the end if you are interested in wanting to learn how to make this one. So I'm going to glue it to the top of my house here and then cut my little dovetail ends. Then I'm going to glue on my cross here with some hot glue. Then using these little beads I picked up at the Dollar Tree, I'm just going to place one in the very center of my cross. So I did make them all different. The next one was very simple. I just added an eye hook and made a little jute hanger with a little bow, and then I was all done. Next up, I just want to show you what I did with some of the spindles that I had cut down in a tin. I had a ton of them. I still do. I'm still working through them. So with these, I do start out by giving them a coat of black Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. So I give them 2 coats. Then I'm going to go in with this color. I think the color is Bermuda. From Waverly chalk paint. I'm not sure if this color is still available, but I'm pretty sure they do have a very similar color. I let the spindles fully dry, and then I'm going to do a dry brush with this color. So I dip my paintbrush into this color, and I'm taking off the excess, and then I'm going to do a light brush strokes over the black, and it's just going to pick up on all the detail that this spindle has. So I have painted a ton of spindles in these days. This color combination has been my favorite so far. So for the hangers on these, I decided to use they're placement card holders. I had my husband cut them in half, and I'm using the top part of them as the hanger for my spindle. So I did use my drill bit and added a hole to the top of it, and then I'm going to add some glue and stick this right into the top of my spindle. To go along with my moody vibe, I'm gonna go ahead and add a black lace bow here. It's just a basic shoelace bow that I'm gonna add to the top of my spindle. So before I glued my bow on, I did add a clear coat of spray paint to my spindles here, and then I added my bow. Then just to add a little sparkle and shine here to my spindle, I go ahead and add this little bead here, and then I'll be all done. Next up, I picked up these canning lids from the Dollar Tree. It comes with a pack of 10. I figured that these would be cute little ornaments or like little embellishments for gifts. So I'm going to start off by giving them a coat of black paint from Waverly Chalk Paint. So for these little tags, I decided to use the Cameos mold from IOD. This one is a resin one that I already had done, but I did use clay for all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and add some hot glue to the back of this and stick it right onto my lid. So I am going to give this a coat of black, the same ink chalk paint that I used on the lid. I do 2 coats. I let them dry completely before I move on to the next step. Using that same color from the spindles, I'm going to go ahead and dry brush right over this black, and that's just going to pick up on any of the details from my cameo. For this part, you can go as heavy or as little as you want on the color that you're dry brushing with. I like to go heavy because I feel like it picks up on more of the detail on my cameos, so I do go pretty heavy until I'm pretty satisfied. Then I decided to add some gold. I'm using the Folk Art gold paint. Just adding on here and there on some of the places, not all over, just on some of the detail. Then to embellish these, I did use this beaded ribbon from Dollar Tree. I just cut off one of the rows of beads so it can fit onto the edge of my lid. Then I'm going to add some E6000 to the edge of my lid here, and then I will place the beads right along on top of that to frame out the edge of my lid. So as we come to an end on this video, thank you guys so much for being here and for all the love on my previous video. If you like what you see, please subscribe and follow for more, and follow me on all my other social medias. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. Hope you liked the projects I created today, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.